All right, so you guys also did the exorcism encounter. Is it possible that we might be possessed by a demon now?
It's never not a possibility.
Yeah, I might have had a few demons beforehand.
Well, that's a great question, because I'm like, when you do something like this, when you sign on to be in a movie like this, a lot of people believe in demons and exorcisms. Is there anything you do to protect yourself beforehand? Like, did you burn like a lot of sage or get baptized? Like, did you do anything like that?
I burned sage when I got back to New York. I mean, when I got back to California, I burned sage.
Now that you're saying it, maybe I should have, but I didn't.
I try my hardest to not buy into it as long as I'm there. And then I think when I got back, I bought into it a little bit. I was like, I just got to make sure I'm
just
good.
on the safe side. Yeah. There's still time for you.
Hopefully.
Well, there's all these urban legends about like certain classic movies like The Exorcist or Poltergeist, where they kind of report like some weird behind the scenes phenomenon. Mm-hmm. When you guys were filming, was there anything like creepy that happened that you maybe just can't explain?
COVID?
Yeah, that was it. We were terrified every day.
So it's your fault then, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it was us.
Thanks
it was us.
a lot, guys.
Yeah, having that going on, I think maybe the horror would have been scarier, but there was something so tangibly scary going on in life at that moment that doing this film was such an escape, and we were just so grateful to be able to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Christian, I have a question for you. Do you have any tips on maybe how to pull off a neck tattoo? Because Father Dante really rocks it, and I was like, I would love to wear a neck tattoo, but I can't do it. I don't know if I'm the kind of guy.
Neither could I, and if I got a neck tattoo...
No, you did, though. You did.
Listen, my dad would disown me, okay? I have enough as it is, and he looks at me judging me sometimes. I don't know if it's cursed or blessed, but every role almost I have so many tattoos, and they add more every time. So it's, you got to get the tattoo makeup done and all that. So, what my advice is? Get a fake one, a good fake one.
That's a great idea.
You wash it off at night.
Yeah, because then when you're not feeling it anymore, just
Are you going to get
off.
Pray for the Devil right there?
Yeah, right here. I'm gonna get it with a big upside down cross. Really just get my grandma.
That's a great idea.
Scare her so bad. Yeah, or just disown me.
Oh,
whatever.
Grandma! Don't tell her I said that.
We'll keep it between us. I'll get the upside down cross like lower so I can button up around it. She won't know. She'll just see pray.
My uncle's.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah.
Clever.
My uncle's gonna be 60. And he's got a tattoo he's hidden from my grandma for like 20 years.
No.
He's terrified. He won't show her. I don't know what he thinks she's gonna do. She's a 90-year-old woman.
Yeah. Probably can't even see it.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people always focus on the scary aspects, obviously, of, demon possession. Do you think there are any benefits to maybe being possessed by a demon?
What a question.
What? No. You know what?
You don't have to go to a chiropractor,
No taxes. You don't got to pay taxes. Right?
I think knowing and going to those dark places is important, whether or not you need a demonic possession to do that. But I think working through something is always the right way to go.
I think it's a great answer.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
going
for
through the
coming.
experience,
You guys
watching
are
the movie.
best. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Thank you. Well, hi, Daniel. It's so nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you. I just saw your YouTube video about you running red lights and screwing with the camera and stuff. It was very fun.
Oh my God, that's so old, man. That's about 10 years old. I need to put some new stand-up up real bad.
You did look young and fresh at it. Playing the guitar and everything.
Oh, are you saying I don't still look young and fresh? Is that what you're saying? I got you.
That was my passive-aggressive way of going like, you look old, man.
I know. It's the facial hair. I keep telling my girlfriend wants me to grow it out. I think she just hates half of my face.
It's this. I'm going through the same stuff. Exactly. It must be a thing. Maybe they all get together and go like, our guys suck in shaving.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just like, can you just cover this much of your face up? That'd be.
But then they also want the eyebrows trimmed at the same time. So it's really, we're just talking about this much.
I didn't really even think about that, but you're right. I mean, it's quite the oxymoron there. I think there's just like, why do you want less hair up here and more hair down here? Why can't that makes no sense. No. So let's just swing it back around, get away from our grooming and get more on the movie. First off, I think Pray for the Devil might be one of the greatest titles of all time. I know it was originally titled The Devil's Light. But did you come up with Pray for the Devil?
No, I didn't even think it was that great a title when I first heard it, because I was like, really, is the pun cheesy or is it genius? Because the Lionsgate kind of marketing people changed, and the new people that came in said, we hate the poster, we hate the title, we love the movie. It's now called Pray for the Devil, and here's the new artwork. But the title grew on me really fast, and now I think it's great.
Yeah, I like it, and it's also one of the when I went to do the exorcism experience in Vegas, they gave me a hat and a shirt, and I can't wear any of them in public because I live in Tennessee, so I feel like I think that I would get some glances if I go out in public wearing some shirts that say "Pray for the Devil," where people might not be smart enough to realize that this is just a pun and or a movie title.
It's true. It's the same with me as a non-English speaker. I don't know if I would have gotten it. I think my spelling would be bad enough that I would have gone like, oh, pray for the devil. What's going on? You have all this swag that I don't have. I want that shirt. I want that hat. You'd think someone sent...
You don't have any of that stuff?
Oh, none of it. No. They send me a virtual background, which is this, and a ring light, which I appreciate, but I'm sure I have to give it back. But no like fancy shirts or anything.
You know what? You don't have to give it back. I don't just be like, I'd send it back. I don't know what you're talking about.
Lost in the mail. Exactly.
Eventually they'll forget about it. I think it'll be fine. So, I want to say that I was am a big fan of The Last Exorcism. I watched that movie 3 or 4 times. I really enjoyed it. And I want to say that it was probably my favorite. I think exorcism movies are really hard to do because The Exorcist is my all-time favorite horror movie. And it's just such a peak movie that like, how do you tell another story, in that realm as good as The Exorcist did. And I thought you did a really great job with The Last Exorcism. I enjoyed Pray for the Devil. I want to watch it again. I've only seen it the one time. So I'm actually going to take my son to watch it later this weekend. But my question is, do you feel like The Last Exorcism is connected in any way to Pray for the Devil, or did you view them as sort of two separate entities, two separate, I know they're not connected, specifically. I know it's not a sequel to The Last Exorcism, but do you kind of view this as happening in the same sort of universe?
I didn't really, because Last Exorcism was so different with the found footage and kind of based on this question, is this girl possessed or is she crazy, that we couldn't do any of the kind of supernatural possession stuff. And then Pray for the Devil was the exact opposite, because it cuts off the first 45 minutes of, is this possession or not, and jumps right in. And you have all this time for all these possession pieces. So then you suddenly have to, exactly what you were saying, you have to go like, well, how do we make this fresh? And how do we make this different? So then you go into the mythology kind of your world and your story and start reinterpreting things. Like we did, for example, this thing with contortions, that we're saying we don't just want to do contortions for contortion's sake. We want to say there are 2 pilots fighting over the steering wheel, of the body of the possessed person, and contortions are the expression of that. So we kind of did that with every little exorcism piece to reinterpret it for this world. And we didn't have to do that with Last Exorcism. So it did feel like Pray for the Devil was kind of its own world and its own treatment of exorcism.
Now, in your research, I can only imagine how much research goes into doing something like this to make it feel authentic, and I know that there are some semblances of real life stories that, it's based off of. In your research, have you ever watched or listened to any real life exorcism footage? And what was your reaction to that?
I did all that for Last Exorcism. This time was different in that our screenwriter, Robert Zappia, is a practicing Catholic. And his son is friends with a deacon who put him in touch with a real exorcist. And I just watched, and he had dinner with him. And that's basically what this whole movie came out of. All these stories, everything you hear in the movie is all true. Like we didn't make up anything. It's all based on, the tales of this exorcist. And we did record an interview with him for our DVD special features that I just saw for the first time between our screenwriter and that exorcist. And it is the most mind-blowing hour of watching video footage ever. Because this guy is he doesn't see anything spectacular about it. It's just part of his job. He is saying there are days where in the morning, he is doing a wedding, and then he is doing an exorcism, and then he's doing mass at night. and to him, it's just totally part of the job. He's done hundreds of exorcisms and he talks about it as if it's just another day at the office. But at the same time, it's all these horrendous stuff, that he talks about with a totally straight face. So my research in this movie was like very easy because Robert's first draft that I got was so full of all the research. Like if in the movie right now, I think there are 2 seminars, workshops or lectures in there. In the original script, there were 5 or 6 or something, and they were full of all these facts. So I had all that and I didn't have to go out and do that again. It was more the opposite. Like, how do we pull stuff out, but still leaving people the feeling that they're learning all these things, but make room for, the moving pieces of the movie.
Now, a lot of people I know believe in demons and exorcisms in real life. So when you've had, experience now with 2 exorcism movies, do you do anything to protect yourself? Like, how much sage did you burn to keep yourself safe? Or are you just being like, you're just hopeful that this is a little bit, there's not much to it?
With Last Exorcism, we had a protection prayer on the Blu-ray for real, and I myself, I'm not a believer. But I'm always thinking, like, how great for the part of our audience that does believe in God. With Last Exorcism, we had this sentence, if you believe in God, then you have to believe in the devil, which I always kind of love because it's true, right? It seems so absurd to believe in the devil, but most of the country believes in God. So how do you juggle that?
It's yin and yang, right? I mean,
it's yin and yang, yeah.
Light and darkness.
And I don't believe in either, so I don't have to deal with that quite so much. But for the part of our audience that does believe in it, I always feel like they have been primed for our movie. The groundwork has been laid for decades for us. And we just the first act has been done. And now we can just kind of pick the fruit of that fear that has been so. But I mean, the church loves exorcism movies. The Exorcist is like one of the biggest recruiting tool of the Catholic Church. And even this exorcist coming in and doing the interview for us and all, they don't object to these movies at all or think that you're opening yourself up to demonic possession in any way. And there's always the question, did anything demonic happen on set? And I have the feeling anyone who tells you something demonic happened on set is making that up for PR purposes. Because like making a movie, everything is so slowed down. It's like molasses, right? You are building all these layers. There is never like a real time kind of scary moment happening. It could not be less scary on set.
Now, I want to say I didn't know this previously, but I read that you are a certified hypnotist.
That's
which
right.
is awesome. Yeah. I think that's so cool. Does that skill set influence your filmmaking at all?
No, because I think you would have to really like stay nimble and stay practicing. And I totally believe in hypnosis. I think it's pure science and psychology, and it's genius. And I went to this hypnosis institute here in Los Angeles for a free introductory session, and then kind of stuck with it for a while. And the theory is fascinating. Not to veer off into hypnosis, but what was amazing to me is that I would always have thought hypnosis is about relaxation and almost like a meditative state, but it's the opposite. So the hypnotist is giving you all these little commands. Oh, look here, look over here. Could you do your elbow here? Blah, 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 until it overwhelms kind of the filter that your consciousness has. And the filter retracts and goes like whatever. And that's when the hypnotist has access to your subconscious and can plant things in there. And it's great. But it's a process that you can't really do like secretly. Like the patient would always know that you're now doing hypnosis. Sure. So you would have to lay them down and all that. So I've never really used it. No.
Okay. I didn't know. I find it fascinating, but I don't know anything about how to do it. So I just didn't know if having that tool in the toolkit, could be applied in any sort of way to filmmaking whatsoever, even on a psychological sense.
I think it totally could. I just need to be a better hypnotist. But I think in theory, you're totally right. It could be an amazing tool. I think Lars von Trier is using it or has been trying to use it without his actors knowing, or there's some story about him using it.
Well, that doesn't seem very nice to use it without someone knowing. I feel like you want to consent to the hypnosis, though. I have personally thought about getting hypnosis done. If I could just have somebody teach me how to not love sugar so much, I would be doing great. Do it.
It's the best $90 you've ever spent in your life. Like there are certain things that are really easy for a hypnotist. Smoking, for example, they are so confident that they can help you that they're saying, I'll do any follow-up session for free for the rest of your life if it's about smoking. Because they are so... My cousin had a chocolate addiction, went to a hypnotist, one session, never touched chocolate again. So she just has no interest in it. You should really try it. It's worth it just for the experience.
I'm going to do it because I need something to help me out with the sugar. You can't tell below here, but it just gets love handle city. I mean, so, you know, obviously you've done the 2 exorcism films, and I know you had the one in the middle, but you've stayed in the horror genre. Is there a specific genre that you would like to tackle next? Or if you want to stick with horror, is there a specific subgenre that you are interested in right now?
I like dark thrillers and I like horror, but what I'm always interested in is more the characters and the story. So as long as there's an interesting story and a character that is memorable, my test is always, if I pulled out all genre pieces, all scares, would there still be an interesting story that is captivating enough for people to kind of see? And then you layer the scares on top. So with me, it wouldn't be so much about the subgenre, because that mainly pertains to scares, but it would really be about the story. And that is hard. Like to do something new and original in the horror field is hard because scares are so visceral. You know, there are only so many ways to put pressure on our reptile brain and to really scare us. So to find new stories and new characters within that is really hard. And so when I get a script like Pray for the Devil that has such a great protagonist and such a good story, that's kind of what I'm jumping on. Exorcism wasn't necessarily the subgenre where it was like, I want to do more exorcism movies. It was kind of the opposite. It was like, I've done everything, you know, all ideas that I had about exorcism, I thought were in the first movie. But then when my agent sent me this script, I first said, like, this must be a mistake. This is an exorcism script. And they said, yeah, but you should read this one. And they were right. Like, it's so different. And of course, you always have in the back of your mind, people are going to compare this to The Exorcist. So you better have a justification for why you want to make another exorcism movie, you know? And I felt with this one, it really had that in the DNA of the story.
Awesome. Well, last question, just because it feels so appropriate. We're so close to Halloween. Is there a specific favorite horror movie of yours that you like to rewatch more than others around this time of year?
Psycho. Maybe because it was my first horror movie ever when I was 8 and it screwed me up. But I think it's the most effective horror movie ever made. So just to even like keep the horror movie muscle kind of massaged. I watch that maybe twice a year or something. It's one
That's
of
a
the
great answer. It's classic. It's so good. Did you ever watch Bates Motel?
No, I don't even want to, because it is so sacred to me.
I love that.
I don't want to besmudge it with any kind of spin-offs. I remember that in my childhood, I watched Psycho 2 and 3 and 4. That is like, I think all taking place in the kitchen with him on the phone or something. But I almost, I don't want to go back there. Like Psycho needs to remain pure in my mind.
There are some movies that I'm the same way, that I just feel like the first one did it, and you don't need The Exorcist is a great example too. The follow-up sequels and the prequels and all that stuff that I was like, you just need. And now I know they're doing a new trilogy with David Gordon Green. And I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm also like, I don't know that you need to touch it. I think you could just leave it alone.
Yeah, it's just a different thing. Like The Exorcist is almost immune to that kind of stuff. There's almost no danger in touching it from the sides because it'll always be its own thing. Psycho maybe should be too. I don't know why I have the feeling it is in danger of being.
I think Psycho is the same sort of way. And for what it's worth, I liked Bates Motel until the last season, and then they sort of redid the Psycho story in the last season. So, and once they started touching the movie, I was like, nah.
Right. Oh, wow.
No,
even you as a fan of the other seasons, then that's interesting that you're still rejecting that and going like too close. Close.
Yeah. You got too close to the sun on that one.
Yeah.
But Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm very excited to see what you do next.